We have more Jim Moore tickets to give away for his live coaches show coming up on Thursday. We also going to talk about some of the MLB stuff that's going on tonight, including the Yankees game and what happened last night. So we'll get into that Daily Pickle next hour. But let's do the NFC South because we've been breaking down these different divisions of the NFC.
Oh, yeah.
AFC and our predictions for the 2023 season.
And we do it a little bit different than everyone else.
And I like it that way.
I do too. And we've gone pretty fast. I thought this would take us a little bit while. We only have the East left after we do the NFC South, and we've been saving the best for last. Oh, those Jets fans, those Giants fans, which way are we going to go? We do a little bit different here on the Rob Dibble Show. When we do each division, we want to know three things. A, most overrated. B, who's getting fired. C, fantasy gem. Plus, who wins the division. Dibs, Kurt, and myself been going all the way through the NFL. The NFC South. Oh, the fun bunch of the NFC South. There was a good stretch. I think it was a 6-year run, Dibs. The worst became the first became the worst every single year, and it just kept on flipping around like that. You made the mention of it. Wasn't it Tom Brady's under 500 team that won the division last year? So it's anyone's guess who could win it this year. Starting off with most overrated in this division. Who you got there, Dibs, in the NFC South?
Well, he's a newcomer to the division, but he comes from those Las Vegas Raiders. I got Derek Carr as the most overrated guy. Great career numbers. I'm not going to argue that. 217 touchdowns, 99 interceptions, many, many years over 4,000 yards, except last year he was at 3,500 yards and 24 touchdowns and 14 picks. This goes back to 2014. Only been to the playoffs twice. The Raiders 0-2 in his career, so he has 0 playoff wins to speak of. As one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL.
He's reminding me a lot of Phillip Rivers, where he either wins or loses a 3-point game with a field goal kicker at the end. Like his fate is always in the hands of a field goal kicker. Now, isn't Gruden down there doing some quarterback whispering in New Orleans, like under the?
He is. He actually, I think he's been hired, but that's been a very on the down low thing since the lawsuit against the NFL.
I'm kind of with you on this pick as well. Kurt, what do you think? Overrated in the NFC South?
Carr.
Wow. Guys both going with
I went
Carr.
there.
Wow. Kind of the same reason.
Didn't even hesitate.
No hesitation.
It's very hard, though. Let me clarify this.
Really
it was
nice
very
guy.
hard
Nice guy.
to pick him as overrated or anybody as overrated because I think this is a really mediocre division.
They could mess around and win.
Exactly. They could easily mess around and go from 7-10 to 10-7. I mean, any team in this division. So since you had 3 teams last year that were 7-10, the ultimate winner was 8-9. There is no clear-cut favorite in this division or more overrated player or underrated player for that matter.
My overrated player is on the same team, but it's not Derek Carr. I'm taking Alvin Kamara.
Wow. Suspended Alvin Kamara right
I put
now.
quotations knucklehead next to his name.
Yep.
I think he's very talented, but I think once Jamal Williams fills that role, it'll be like, Alvin, who? Who's that one guy? Forgot all about him.
Bye.
I think that this cat could have a bad season, especially the way it has started. I'm putting him on my overrated list. Who's getting fired? Dibs? NFC South. Who's going to look for a new job next year?
I mean, I couldn't pick someone to get fired because I wanted to go through. Yeah, this is a tough one. Well, I don't like to fire people. So, I mean, listen, the fact that you've got Frank Reich, it's his first year, Arthur Smith's third year, Bowles' second year, there's really no clear-cut favorite when you're looking across the board at who should get fired. But somebody ultimately has to get fired.
Throw a kicker in there.
No, but so I just basically said, listen, they're all in a tough spot.
Yeah,
they're all in a tough spot. You're hired to be fired. So pretty much any head coach in this division could get fired for being inadequate at the end of the season.
Kurt?
Well, all the head coaches, seemed like they were fresh meat. So I didn't think that hatchet would fall real quick. So I was going with who's working underneath Todd Bowles, the Bucs OC, Dave Canales.
Oh, yeah, he's a new guy. He's taking over
and
from
he's going to do that in order to save his job for one more year.
Wow. I'm kind of on the same wavelength there. Todd Bowles is just the dude they fire, man. Whatever team he goes to, he could have the best defense in the world. He knows that in February, if he gets called to the coach's office, he already knows exactly what time it is. He's used to this thing. I think they're not going to win the division, and they need somebody to be the fall guy, and Todd Bowles is that guy. Has been before. I feel for him. I think he's a great coach, especially on the defensive side. I've always thought more of a coordinator than a head coach personally, but I think it's Todd Bowles this time in Tampa Bay.
Well, I think here's another problem is that when you step into that role, you assume the fireable offenses. You know, when you're just an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, you're kind of following that guy. But it's kind of like Eric Bieniemy. That guy wanted to be a head coach, couldn't get the job. Yep. Now he goes to Washington, and now you're still giving him crap for being the offensive coordinator. So I think, now coordinators and assistant head coaches and head coaches are all kind of under the same fire. So it's like, okay, well, since you might fire me for being a bad defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, I'll assume the responsibility of the guy and get a little bit more money and a guaranteed contract. So if I get fired, because I don't think all of these 20 coaches below the head coach probably they certainly don't get the same check, amount of money, but they probably don't have the same kind of job security as far as length of contract.
And a lot's got to do with the quarterback play in this division. Like, you're right, Frank Reich, first-year guy down there, but he's got a lot of pedigree down there. He's there for a long time with the Panthers before he went to Philadelphia, and Bryce Young's a rookie. You're not expecting much. Desmond Ritter's really getting his first go at it. I know he's a rookie last year.
And they just said today that Mariota looks like he will start.
I would say Carr and Jameis Winston, that's a good little duo, and we'll see what happens. One of them could catch lightning in a bottle, but really with Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield was just named the starter the other day. I think it was yesterday. Kyle Trask, the Florida guy that everybody likes down there. We'll see what happens with those two, but no one is counting on either of them. And it just looks like if you're looking ahead in your Tampa Bay, you might be in the quarterback draft mode. And the way the NFL likes to do it is get the coach with the quarterback you draft, kind of like the Colts did with Steichen and Richardson, or even C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans down in Houston. It's been done before. It seems like it's the pattern that's going to repeat there in Tampa Bay. Who's a fantasy gem there, Mr. Fancy Man? I know you
brought him up, Jamal Williams.
You love this guy.
Jamal Williams, 262 carries last year, over 4 yards a carry, 1,066, but 17 touchdowns. That's where this guy, getting that many touchdowns helps you in PPR.
Now I want him to play 17 weeks. But he's going to get a lot more run in the first part of the season because of the suspension with Alvin Kamara, and you are more of the league fantasy player here.
So getting 2 touchdowns as opposed to, say, 80 yards on carries, it carries a lot more weight in your PPR league.
Is he a guy that you would draft to trade?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because now you have a running back 1 and running back 2.
Right.
And for somebody and expect injuries, somebody, halfway through the season has an injured running back 1, wants a running back 1, could possibly trade you for running back 2, which could be Jamal Williams.
It's a tricky
or Kamara.
Where you draft Jamal Williams. Like, he's not going to be in your top tier running backs. He's not on the bottom either. There's going to be people that want him. But remember,
the guys in my group are very, very smart, and they're wily, and they're thinking, hey, there's a lot of guys that trade a lot in my league.
Yeah, they do.
Reason I probably lose and finish 3rd, 4th, or 5th sometimes.
You don't deal.
I don't deal. I need to pay attention a little bit more.
Kurt, who's a fantasy gem in this division?
I'm going with the philosophy of I think you can get this guy on the real cheap.
You are always in the bargain bin when it comes to fantasy. Where are you at today?
I'm at the dollar store bargain bin. Excellent. That's where I'm at, man. Taylor Heineke.
Oh,
wow.
Whoa.
I can get that for a nickel, right?
Yeah. You can get, I wouldn't even draft that. I would not even draft. I would wait for the waivers after the draft is all over. And then when you drafted the kicker and you didn't want him anymore, that's when you get Taylor Heineke.
Kickers?
Wow. Where's Heineke rolling? Carolina? You think Bryce? Ooh.
He's backing up Bryce Young.
Dude, Bryce Young looks so small.
He'll be gone quick.
Small. Yeah. And Reich loves him some backup quarterbacks. He was one in his day.
Yep.
I like the rookie Bijan Robinson. Give me that running back from the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to use and abuse him because Arthur Blank and Arthur Smith.
I like Bijan, though.
I love Bijan.
Good running back.
No, Heineke's a Falcon.
Oh, he's a Falcon?
Oh, he's a Falcon.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't like that at all. That's a horrible pick. Desmond Ridder ain't going anywhere. Maybe. I don't know.
Don't call me John Ritter.
I like this rookie. This kid from Texas was a Heisman candidate all through the year. We got to watch him in the first couple of games for Texas, and it just jumped off the screen at us. It was a man amongst boys in college. If he would have a little more help in the passing game, I think the Longhorns would have been even better. But Bijan Robinson, man, don't let this guy. If I'm going to tell you, Dibs, you're around the 7 or 8 round, and Bijan Robinson's still on the board, scoop him up. Scoop him up. Who's winning the division, Dibs? Who you got?
I got Carolina.
What?
As crazy as things may seem, I think Bryce Young, I looked at their schedule.
What?
They have 7 solid wins in there.
Solid wins.
Solid wins. They need a couple of shockers. They need to shock some people. So Carolina right now, looking at their schedule, they have one of the more favorable schedules in the division.
Man, I am rooting for Bryce Young. I think this kid is a leader. I think a lot of them, like I do Jalen Hurts. Got to stay on the field, though. He's got to stay on the field. Can't wait to see this team really open it up in week 1 in an actual NFL game setting. No preseason stuff.
Let me give you the first 8 games. Falcons, Saints, Seahawks, Vikings.
Those are Falcons, Saints, right off the bat, super important for that team.
Seahawks, Vikings, Lions, Dolphins, Texans, Colts.
I knew there was going to be AFC South in there.
Yep.
That's exactly
then it's Bears, Cowboys, Titans, Buccaneers, Saints, Falcons, Packers, especially if it's Jordan Love against you, Jaguars, Buccaneers. I mean, I think they can get 9 or 10 wins.
You're looking at another 9-8, possibly 10-7 winning this division. Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying
9-8. I mean, I said 9 wins.
Kurt,
yeah,
who's winning
like
this
Frank
division?
Regg's team too.
What? Blown away. What say you? Why? Why do you like them?
I didn't look at that week's schedule. I was just thinking about what everybody else was going to do.
Wow.
And I don't like anybody.
There really isn't anybody that you can say is a overwhelming favorite in this division.
All right, when I tell you mine, it's not going to blow you away one way or another. I like the Atlanta Falcons. I think this Desmond Ridder is going to be all right.
And then my guy Heineke's going to be in there, and he's going to be
You never know. I like the backup situation now that you tell me about it. But I also like Drake London, and I also like their defense. And the defensive front, they can work a little bit on the secondary, but we'll see what happens. If the defense front can get to the quarterback before he throws it, that would be all good.
What do you think of Mac Hollins and Scott Miller, the wide receivers?
Not much.
You're going to run the ball a lot.
Drake London started out the gate in the first 6 games, and I thought a lot what you tell me about baseball players. Poo around the league once and then tell me how it stinks. And he has, and I think a lot of people learned his little college tricks. But in the offseason, him and the quarterback worked extensively together, watched a lot of video with these guys. And I'm with you guys as far as the number that wins this division.